Welcome back, everybody, to our review of The Walking Dead. We got a doubleheader for you, just like they had a doubleheader for you on Sunday. First, we're going to knock out the season final for season 8 for The Walking Dead, and then in a separate show, we're going to do the premiere for Fear the Walking Dead season 4. But first, we're going to take a look and review season 8, episode 16, the season finale for The Walking Dead: Wrath. As usual, you got Chris with you here, and with Jason.
Hey, Zom guys and Zom gals.
That's that. Hopefully, he never says that again. No, yeah.
One of these days, I'm gonna nail that intro so well. You're gonna be like, "Wow, that was amazing."
Not with that, you're not. Not with that, you're not. Okay, so overall feelings. Here it is. Here's the payoff. They said the war ends tonight.
Okay, well, payoff in big quotation marks. I was disappointed. Negan's not dead yet.
Negan is not dead. Did you say yet?
Yet.
Okay. So, overall feelings of the episode, though.
I enjoyed it, but I also feel like I got blue-balled, Like, I wanted Rick to shoot him in the head. That's all I wanted. I wanted one of them to walk away.
I think for completely
2 men
enter,
enter, 1 man leaves.
I think for completely different reasons, I feel the same way. I had high hopes for this episode, and in some ways it delivered, and in other ways it just didn't deliver at all. So I'm very torn on this one. Okay, so here's the thing, and you already jumped right into it. There it is. The fight, the war is done. The fight happens, and at the end of the day, Rick does not kill Negan, and as I told you when we spoke about it earlier, I've held that in for the better part of somewhere between 3 to 4 years that Negan will not die from this war.
Well, and we'll get into this as we go through the show, but I felt like a lot of the end of this season reset us to before Negan. With Eugene. Eugene's now a good guy. Dwight is banished off into the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like we just pressed the reset button and all of the stuff with Negan in the build-up didn't really happen. Just, we have less cast now.
In some ways, and that's not necessarily a bad thing either. So a little bit behind-the-scenes stuff and kind of what you're talking about, why it's important. So starting next season, we're going to have a new showrunner. Scott M. Gimple, who's been the showrunner since season 4, has moved on with another part in the company. So, but this year, he was the showrunner for both season 8 and season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead, and we'll talk about that in the review for the premiere episode for season 4. But this matters to a lot of people, myself included. A lot of people have really just not liked how the show has been running as of late. They feel that it's been dragged on a bit, that the show has a lack of focus in some of the wrong areas and a focus in some of the wrong areas. It's just not going very well. And I have to be honest with you, I think that's generally the case. And, the show obviously was doing great for a very long time, but I think it was just a proper time for him to move away at this point. So we're going to have a new showrunner, and they're saying that the show's going to go in some very different directions. So let's talk about that for a little bit. So myself and other people who are fans of the comic, at the beginning of season 8, we would start seeing those flash forwards of Old Man Rick and what Alexandria was like at that point. How everyone was farming stuff and Rick had a cane, and you remember that, right?
I remember you talking about it.
Well, at the beginning of season 4, or at the beginning of season 8, they would show some of these things, and then they
oh,
revealed.
Yeah, those. Yeah,
they revealed that these were from Carl. They were his inspiration and his dream of what could be.
Yeah, that felt like sort of a.
Well, no, that was bullshit. Because what it really was, it was taken right from the comics on what the world is like in Alexandria and in this whole area as a whole after the war was over. And the comic book takes a huge time jump, and it kind of puts you in that place. It is obvious at this point that they're not going to do this time jump, at least going into that future. And the biggest indication of this was that Rick had a cane. And why would Rick have a cane? Because in the comic, that fight at the end of All Out War, the fight between Rick and Negan takes out his knee.
Yeah, and that very clearly didn't happen
That
here.
did not happen here. So they're indicating to you that you're going to have a very different future at this point.
Well, and I don't remember, but in those flash forwards, did they show Carl?
They showed him like very quickly and briefly walk through the screen. You can't even see him clearly, and you can hear him talking in one of them. And that's because they weren't ever going to really kill Carl. That they shot that stuff before they'd made the decision to kill Carl.
Yeah.
So they took some drastic changes, and that's fine. Take the changes. I'm okay with that because honestly, with the way that the show has been going and following the comic the way that it has. While there are nothing but great storylines in that comic, and I love the comic dearly, the way that it is translating to the TV show is not necessarily working anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
The nice thing, and I'm going to speak as someone who knows nothing about the comics, but the nice thing about the TV show, at least from what you've been telling me, is the fact that they've shown at least that they're not opposed to going away from the comics, which gives them an opportunity to tell all sorts of new stories with all sorts of new characters.
Definitely. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing that with this emergence of this new story now from All Out War being over, with Maggie and Daryl, and maybe Jesus. I don't know if Jesus is on board.
Jesus! Talk about the RKO out of nowhere. Jesus shows up to start murdering. Or plotting murder.
Yeah, I don't know if he was really plotting. I didn't get that impression from him.
I got that impression from him. He showed up in a murder plot. They're like, yeah, let's.
Well, no, I don't think it's a. It's not. I don't think it's a murder plot to kill Rick though, and I don't think it's to go against war against Alexander.
Well, no. I don't think they're plotting to kill Rick. I think they're plotting to kill Negan.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely some plots going on there. Now, it's interesting because, like I said, the comic takes a time jump to 2 to 3 years. So all these stories, what I think the show might be doing at this point is they're going to tell the story of what could have happened during that time jump. And I think that might be something that happens here. I don't know. In the comic, there is a point where Maggie and Negan do have their confrontation, and I'm not going to say anything more about that. So I'm just going to hold on to that one for 3 or 4 years. But yeah, there's some space here, and with Carl gone. And not having to worry that an 18-year-old is playing the role of a 13-year-old, and with the way that they've left things, and the fact that there's going to be a new showrunner, I'm actually really excited to see what they do here. There's a lot of interesting things they can do. I don't think we've seen the end of Dwight, and in fact, the fact that there was a very ambiguous note left for him from his wife tells me almost assuredly that we have not seen the end of Dwight.
What do you think that Negan's gonna do anything more, or do you think he's pretty much done with until the confrontation with Maggie and Daryl and Jesus?
I think I can't comment on that.
Ugh.
Sorry.
All right.
If I've kept my mouth shut for this long, it's some important.
You want me to go on wild speculation rant? Because I'll go on wild.
Well, and you could absolutely be right. This is the furthest that they've gone away from the comics. So you could be right about any of your speculation. I'm going off of some source material that they have knowingly, they've shown that they can and will follow or completely derive from. So you could absolutely be right. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, yeah, honestly, Negan's too popular of a character to not do anything with him, especially if they keep him alive. It would be interesting to see, now that he's in prison and Rick's made his whole "you will be the monument to my change" thing, if, Rick starts, like, as he's making these changes to Alexandria, sort of like that, like he'll come down and talk to Negan, these very intense scenes of him coming down and talking to Negan and them developing this sort of intercourse between them, talking back and forth. I think that there would be some really great scenes for that. Negan starts to like try and maybe turn Rick in a more subtle way, because we know he's smart.
So I'll meet you halfway, and I will say that at least in the comic, definitely there are interactions between the two of them, and they are intense. That's for sure. But I'll only go as far as to say that, and I'm not going to tell you what comes from it. But I mean, people love Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan. He's been a pretty good Negan. He doesn't quite fit the comic, but he fits it good enough. He fits it well enough to where he's a perfectly fun and acceptable character the way that he is. So yeah, no, I mean they're not going to get rid of him. But let's take a step back here. What did you think of the fight? That's not just between the two of them, but the fight as a whole between the coalition, so to speak, and the Saviors.
I mean, it felt kind of played out, like it went about as well as you'd expect. Like
because it went pretty fucking bad as far as what I was expecting.
Really,
dude?
It
was
a
gimmick.
You expecting?
It was okay.
The whole.
So, because Negan has a pretty good plan.
Yeah, I know he's got a great plan.
And
as far, he leads all of Rick's guys into the trap.
Eugene,
all the main,
yeah. Eugene conveniently
has a change of heart.
And okay, they explain it well enough with Gabriel gave him a good idea. So maybe he that tells me that he had been at least plotting for a while, or maybe he at least saw an opportunity to really change the game. But he had a good life. He had a good life with the Sanctuary and with the Saviors. That being said, the fact that every single Savior's gun had bad bullets in it was laughable.
Little, yeah. Well, then that's what I mean. Like, it was a little campy.
A couple guys on the Coalition side should have gotten shot, and one of the main characters should have gotten a wound in the shoulder or the leg, or maybe even die. But a couple of them should have gotten shot. It couldn't have been all of the bullets. This did not happen, as far as I can remember. This did not happen in the comics. That is not how that went down. Well, of course, the main reason for that is Eugene didn't go to the Saviors, so
yeah,
very cheesy, very very cheesy. At the same time, and that was one of the questions we had last week. How are they going to wrap this all up in 1 hour?
Yep,
that's how they did it.
I told you stuff was going to get weird.
Yeah, well, no, it did. It did. It definitely got weird. It got dumb.
Well, they blew all of their hands off, and that was it. There was no further damage. It was like, my hands!
Right, yeah. It's the Oceanside showing up in the moment they had with the Saviors that went to the hilltop.
To go throw some Molotovs.
That was awesome. That I liked.
Okay, that I liked, but the fact that they didn't kill anybody important on the Savior side makes me a little sad. Like, if they'd, nailed Gregory, or what's his face, with a Molotov cocktail, that would have been awesome.
They killed more than everyone else, though.
That's true.
That was, look at the fucking Oceanside just throwing fucking Molotov cocktails at people. I'm like, holy shit. Don't burn down the hilltop. That fire's burning pretty close to the wall.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So then because there's not much else. A little too convenient with Rosita's like, oh, so that was you, huh? And I love the fact that she smacked him right in the face though.
Oh yeah, that was nice. It was good to see him take a fucking fist to the face.
Yeah, it was. But then you did get the fight with Rick and Negan, and I don't think anyone doubted that was going to come down to the two of them. Did you think that was going to go any other way?
Well, I was thinking one of them was going to die, probably Negan.
No, but did you think that it wouldn't come down to the two of them?
Oh no, not at all. Of course, it's going to come down to the two of them. How else are they going to play that out?
Here's the thing about Rick, because Rick is not a good one-on-one fighter.
He
gets his ass kicked more times than not.
For somebody who was supposed to be a cop, and cops do take CQC training. They're pretty good at it.
And you see it more than any other time. You see it with the battle at the prison. The governor kicks his ass.
Oh yeah,
brutalized him. You're like, holy shit!
Gave him the beatdown.
And but I like that. I like that about the show, though. I like that. Hey, your hero has his weaknesses. He's a damn good shot. He's a damn good leader, but dude loses more often than not in a fist fight.
Yeah.
And there he was begging And I love it. We haven't seen stuff like that. I mean, and it was a ploy. Once again, Rick going to mental combat to try to get an advantage and win.
Yeah, that I did like that.
Pleading for him to wait, just give me a moment, give me 10 seconds. And we just seen that 2 episodes prior, where he's like, we can go, I give you my word, we can all go back to the hilltop, and it's just like, it's like, oh, this is bullshit. Did you think he meant it?
I don't know. Like after he did the whole thing with Carl's letter last time, and then he asked Siddiq about how Carl got infected. Like, I think maybe Rick was like, all right, maybe you'll give it a chance, maybe not. I couldn't really get a read on that.
But he tried and meant to kill him.
Yeah, that's true, but he let him live at the end.
He did,
which means that he wasn't totally convinced in meaning to kill him.
It was only at the moment when he had gotten a killing blow that could have killed Negan had they left him, and he had won, that he realized that this was not the way to win. And I really like that. I got to be honest with you, this is the storyline that I've been waiting for forever for this show, and this is it's at this moment that the truth of the situation, in my opinion, comes out, is that in order for things to change and in order for them to really win, they have to move away from these barbaric methods of trying to survive.
Yeah. Well, and I like that, like Rick, who has previously gunned down every Savior survivor, now tries to talk Maggie out of doing the same thing.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I thought it was a great ending. I mean, like I said, that's right out of the freaking comic. Just from this, well, even though the war goes a little bit differently near the end, just out of the smoke of war, what's going to happen? And here comes Rick to fight Negan. The big difference is that Negan takes out one of his knees, and it's permanent. Frickin' Rick in the comic, after the time jump, he's missing a hand. The governor cuts off his hand, and dude's missing a knee. He's got a big brace, and he's got a hook for a hand, and it's dude's a mess. He's a mess, and TV Rick has not gone through any of that.
No, I think. You want to then talk about Morgan? You want to talk about Morgan?
Well, let's talk about Morgan at the very end. That we'll make that the transition.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, then do you want to talk about Jadis?
Yeah. Let's talk about Jadis.
Okay, so we can't talk about Jadis without talking about Morgan, because Morgan leads into Jadis, I guess.
Well, okay, then we'll skip around. But yeah, let's talk about Jadis.
Okay, so we find out Jadis' real name is Anna.
Is Anne. I thought it was just Anne.
I thought it was Anna.
Well, it's one or the other.
Yeah, anyway.
We'll call her Anna. Until we find out next year if that's right or not. Yeah, call her Anne. And it's like, hey, You're the only person left alive, and why don't you go over to Alexandria?
Yeah,
I thought it was kind of weird.
So, what do you think? Will Jadis bring the choppers, or do you think we're going to find more about that?
I still believe that is the storyline we will see in season 8. Yeah, we're going to find out what's going on with her in the helicopter in the trash place, and it is kind of. I was kind of surprised that she would just leave that place, considering that is where a helicopter at least will meet with them. I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. We don't know if she told Morgan everything or not about what goes on at the garbage outpost there. So, but I think we'll find out.
Even if she did, it's not like he's going back.
Right.
Morgan stops for no one.
No, that's true.
All right.
Yeah, what else you got?
What did you think about Negan reading the letter from his ex-wife?
Oh, did I miss this?
Or was it Dwight?
Yeah, it was Dwight. That was Dwight. Yeah,
Dwight.
Well, his wife, who ended up being Negan's wife. Oh no, I thought that was great. I was expecting it, and I'm not going to say anything more about that.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was.
I mean, you might remember a couple episodes ago when there was 2 people that I thought Negan had met on the side of the road. It was either the one person who caught Dwight shooting at the Saviors, or it was Dwight's wife.
Yep.
There's a reason why I'm expecting her to pop up again.
Okay, so you're calling that she's actually going to be a character on the show then?
I'm not going to talk any more about that.
All right. Because that was my theory, was we were going to see her next season, that she's going to pop up and be one of the main characters.
I believe there's a chance. I believe that there are stories there they have not told yet.
Okay. I think the only thing that leaves now is, since we've talked about Maggie and Jesus and Daryl, is Morgan. Morgan.
No. I think you're missing a big thing before we talk to Morgan. What do you think is going to happen with Sanctuary and the Sabers? What happens to them? What direction do they go in, do you think? And who leads them?
Rick. He told them that they could come join the Hilltop if they denounced Negan.
No, I don't think he said that to the group. In fact, at the end, he just told everyone to go home.
Oh, maybe I totally wrote that down.
You're talking about I think you're talking about the episode a couple weeks ago.
No. At the end, I thought Rick was talking to them, and he was like, "You can come join us." Was I wrong about that?
Yeah, no, I don't remember that. I think he just, I'm pretty sure he told everyone to just go home and live their lives. And, if you're going to live a fair life and an honest and a fair life, then they can join in this community that this larger community they're going to have. But the Sanctuary is a place with not only a lot of people, but the most people. Now, one of the things I couldn't tell, and I was a little confused about this, it looked like the Oceanside people were at the Sanctuary at the end.
I don't know.
I wasn't sure either, but it looked like they were at some kind of factory very similar looking to the Sanctuary.
But no, as far as who leads the Sanctuary people now,
right.
All right, I'm going to call it Jadis. Jadis leads the Sanctuary people.
I think you're pulling a name out of your ass.
Nope, I'm calling it now. Trash People 2.0. She's going to, walk over there, and it's going to turn out that, well, we already know her whole thing's an act, but she's going to pull out, the super charisma that led the Trash People to her, and she's going to talk them into joining the Helicopter People.
The Helicopter People? Is that what they are now?
Yes.
the Chopper People.
The Chopper People.
All right.
It's my prediction.
All right. All right. I'll go out on a limb on this. I think this is part of why Dwight's going to come back.
Oh, you think Dwight's going to lead them?
I think Dwight's going to end up leading them. And I think it's going to be one of the stories for season 9. It's not going to be immediate.
You think maybe?
I think we're going to see some of the previous generals and such that are trying to take control of that place and not doing a good job. And Dwight's going to pop back up, and it's going to be a big storyline. And you're going to end up with the Sanctuary aligning with Alexandria, defending from the hilltop, but not defending Negan.
That'll be interesting. That would be interesting.
And a lot of what we'll see next season is the tightrope that's walked between this battle and the lines because a couple lines will be crossed by some of the cast members. Someone's going to die that shouldn't be getting killed, and it's gonna end up. Do you want me to go full out on this? Do you want me to go full?
Go for broke.
All right.
Go for broke.
What's going to end up stopping this battle, the skirmish between Alexandria and the Hilltop, is Maggie's going to have little baby Herschel.
Really? You think that's what's going to unite them?
It's going to give her a new look on life.
So you said that, and all of a sudden, oh God, I don't even know if you're going to remember this movie, but there was a movie about how, for whatever reason, people stopped being able to give birth. And
that's some stupid movie like that. I remember that from several years ago.
Yeah, it was older movie. And then but I do remember this moment because the whole movie's about they finally find this baby. This woman was able to find a baby, so this guy's in charge of taking her and the baby to safety. And there's this moment where they're stuck in this battlefield, and these people are shooting at each other from buildings and stuff, and then the baby starts crying, and everything goes silent, and they're walking past tanks and machine guns and stuff. And that's what I pictured for some reason.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think that's it, except for Morgan at this point.
All right, Morgan, my favorite man.
So I think Morgan. Is he really your favorite?
He's one of them.
Oh, okay.
Dude.
I think it's important, in order to talk about Morgan as a whole, we do have to go into Fear a little bit, because the first 5 minutes of Fear is basically dedicated to the end of Morgan's story in the main show. So we could talk about that, because there's a couple things in there that some people may not have caught on. In fact, I didn't catch on to one of them until what little of Talking Dead I caught that night was mentioned, and that's exactly how long he was actually there by himself.
I guarantee you, I missed all of this.
Oh, you didn't? Why?
No, like you said that there are some things that people missed,
sure.
And like if it's missable, I'm sure I missed it.
So overall, then, what did you think about Morgan's arc? And where he ends up, because it was one of the biggest stories of the season.
It is, without a doubt, and like Morgan sort of feels like, in many ways, he is the anti-Rick. You know what I mean?
I think he's compelled that way.
Rick, in spite of everything, picks up and carries on. He never
and becomes hopeful and takes a harder path, but a brighter path. I agree.
Yeah,
Morgan can't seem to do that.
No, Morgan in many ways represents the fall. Morgan starts off as a father. You know, he starts off as a troubled individual who's looking out the best he can for his son, and we see him again and again get beaten down until there's nothing left. And
he loses himself very easily too.
Yeah, you know, it's tragic in many ways, but you know, he also makes one of the most compelling characters, because there's so much in Morgan that we see in ourselves. You know, like anybody who's ever been beaten down to the point of giving up sees themselves in Morgan. Anybody who's ever lost something beyond repair sees themselves in Morgan, and I think that's what makes him one of the best and most relatable characters in the show, is everybody has that potential for weakness that Morgan brings himself back to again and again.
No, I agree completely. I agree 100%. The actor plays it very well through the character, and I think you're absolutely right. That's why a lot of people are compelled by the character.
Yeah, and that's what makes him one of my favorites. You know.
So here's one of the things, and I'll talk about this in greater depth at the end of this show, at the end of this review show for this episode and the season as a whole. Although I like the interaction again between Morgan and Jesus, and how Jesus shows him, let me just show you this. Use this end for the walkers and this end for people. And I can appreciate that. It felt like a little bit too quick of a conflict resolution within Morgan to finally be like, oh, okay, well, we do that now.
Yeah, but you know, that's also Morgan. Like you said, he gives in very easily. If you show him a way of doing something, that's sort of how he does it.
Yeah,
you know, think about how he joined Rick again in Alexandria. You know, he just showed up, and Rick was like, "Hey, you should come with us," and Morgan was like, "Okay."
Well, now that being said, he was going. The whole point of him going to Alexandria was to find Rick.
All right, I'll give you that.
Okay, so that's part of the reason why it was so easy. But part of the conflict of that at the same time is that when Morgan finally sees Rick after 2+ years, what's he see him do? He sees him shoot somebody in the head.
Yeah, but you know, like Morgan sort of.
But that's when he was being a pacifist.
Yeah,
I definitely think Morgan has stabbed more people in the head than anyone else at this point.
Again, that's true, but you know, like I'm sure if I can think of more examples, but like Morgan, if you show him a way to do something, he's usually able to do it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But I get where you're coming from. Like it seemed like a very quick conflict resolution to Morgan dropping into clearing mode again.
Right, or dropping out of it. It was just like, I could use this end for the for the walkers and this end for the people. Like, but it's a generic feeling that I got from most of this episode overall, as far as how these things were concluded. That being said, Morgan, I think, had the best line of the night, as he probably has in many nights, when he's talking to Rick at the beginning of the show, and he's like, "Look, despite all this effort, we are worse off for what we've been doing. We are worse people, and we are worse off for what's happened." And it's absolutely true.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
You know, while they're fighting for their freedom, and they're fighting for their right to live their own lives and to not be under the thumb of the saviors, they are worse off. They are worse people. A lot of people have died. Alexandria has been ruined. The kingdom is decimated as far as its manpower. The only thing that's been able to hang on is the hilltop, and that's because that's been the place everyone has gone to survive in this war.
Yep.
They are much worse off. But there you see the difference. Whereas when it came down to it, Rick sees a way. He sees a way through Carl, which he didn't need to see it through Carl. It's more powerful, like in the comic, if he sees this from himself. But it's fine. They did the story they did because Carl influenced him that this is the future that you could have. That's fine. You get to it that way. It's fine. Rick sees another way. Morgan still,
in spite of everything, doesn't see.
He doesn't see it at all.
Yeah.
He's completely devoid of it. In fact, that's why I think he goes into solitude.
Yeah. Morgan in many ways is like I said, you know, he's in the loosest of terms, he is the tragedy to Rick's comedy, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like he says it in a couple of occasions throughout the years on the show. You will be ripped apart by either teeth or bullets. That's what he believes.
Yep.
Isn't that a good note?
Yeah. But, you know, going into Fear, and, you know, again, basing most of what I'm seeing off of, you know, this first premiere episode, and then the trailers that we got before this, it seems like maybe some of these Fear survivors, you know, especially Nick, who in spite of everything, he was still like trying to find his place in this world. But I think Nick is probably still one of the most, I hesitate to say hopeful, but he's definitely one of the most open characters, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I it will be interesting to see if, you know, the characters from Fear can kind of guide Morgan back onto a more hopeful path.
Oh yeah, no, that's going to be one of the more compelling parts about Fear this season, I think. All right, but it's time to rate. We're going to do 2 rate, which, by the way, we forgot to rate last week's shows, but that's fine. So we're going to rate this episode, and then we're going to rate the season as a whole.
All right.
So let's go for the episode 1 to 5 rigged bullets. 1 to 5 booby-trapped bullets.
I'll give it a 4.
You're going to give it a 4?
Yeah.
I'm giving it a solid 2.
2?
I'm giving it a 2. And the only reason it gets a 2 is because the conflict resolution in this episode is solid. But the resolution is solid. The end of the conflicts was garbage.
I actually given it some thought, I'll put it down to a 3. 3.
All right.
5.
All right. Yeah. So you give it 3 booby trapped bullets. I give it a 2 for the episode. All right.
Because the only thing that saves it from a 2 is the fact that Maggie and Jesus and Daryl are still planning on killing Negan. I want him dead, man.
All right. There it is. Now for the season. And we're gonna rate this. Let's see, how can we rate it? 1 out of 5.
Bottles to the neck.
Bottles to the neck. Who took a bottle to the neck?
Negan. Rick slashed his throat with a bottle.
No, dude, that was a little knife. It was a little. Oh. Yeah, it was a little. I forget what they call them. It was just a little tiny little knife. But But we'll go 1 to 5 All Out Wars. Why not?
1 to 5 All Out Wars.
1 to 5 All Out Wars. What do you give this season? What do you give All Out War?
I like the fact that it's wrapped up, so I'll say 3.5.
All right, I'm going to give it a 3. And I'm biased on this because I've been waiting for this one for years, and I really just feel that they didn't handle a lot of this very well. Again, like we talked about at the beginning, we're getting a new showrunner for The Walking Dead, and I think it's much needed. The pacing and just the way that a lot of the shows are individually paced, but the storylines as a whole as well, and how they're paced throughout the season, I think they have not been doing this show justice. Now, that being said, there are things that they got right, and I think at the end of this whole thing, the position that this world is in, the position that Rick is in, and the things that he's learned, and like you said, where we have Maggie and Daryl, and possibly Jesus as well, but I still don't think he's really on board for it. And just where this world is and what has happened, the stories that they introduced, and the conflict, while I don't necessarily agree with the resolution on a lot of them, where they have ended these conflicts at this point is well done. But god damn, the walk to get there was not only was it a quick one, it was not a quick one, it was a very slow one, but it dragged. And it dragged. And so that is why I'm going to give it, and I'm really not even totally sure if I'm going to give it a 3, but I'm going to go with a 3. But this season should have been a 4.5 minimal. This was the season that I've been waiting for years, where this is going to beat The Prison. This is going to beat season 3.
Oh, and I don't know.
It didn't come close.
Season 3 and season 1 are still my favorites.
Season 3 has some of the best shit ever on television, period.
Well, and, season 3 brought a lot of good stuff.
Right. No, it was great. It was great. It was
for me, season 1 is still one of my favorites just because of the nostalgia. I watched that. I stayed up late on school nights. This shows you, how long ago this was that I would
Oh yeah,
sneak
dude, this was you were 5, right?
No,
but you were 12, 13 years old.
Oh god, yeah. No, I was 14 because I had just entered high school, and I would sneak downstairs to the basement where we had cable hooked up. It was one of the 2 televisions in the house. I would sneak downstairs to go watch The Walking Dead live.
Nice.
God.
Get your zombie fix.
Yep.
I didn't have cable at the time. I ended up having to stealing it online. I watched the premiere at a location that had cable, and for the next 4 or 5 weeks, I stole it online and downloaded it and watched it that way. But I was aggressively looking for it online 2 hours after the show was on. Somebody's got to have it up now. Someone's got to have it. I got to get my Walking Dead. Yeah, no, I loved it. But season 3 in my opinion. But hey, I'm hoping. I've got high hopes. Like I said, I think they've left this world in a really good spot for some really interesting stories. I'm high hopes for season 9.
Do you think they're gonna bring any Fear characters over to the flagship show?
I believe that at some point we will have a full-on crossover. I hope that we would never get it. And I'd hope that the biggest crossover we would have gotten was myself and a lot of people thought we were going to get. We were going to get Abraham and Rosita in Fear, a year and a half before they even meet the regular crew. I think that I thought that would have been great, and that's the most crossover I would have ever wanted. But I do believe that we will get a full-on crossover. Everybody's going to be in both shows.
So you're happy that Morgan's story's continuing, but you're not happy about the crossover.
I'm not happy about the crossover. These were very different worlds, and I'm worried that Scott M. Gimple's going to make Fear just like the regular show, and it needs to be different. It should be different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the time jump did make me sad about Fear. I feel like there was so much about Fear that could have been explored about the descent. Whereas, like, even during the first season, it felt like everything just went down so fast. And it was like, hey, apocalypse now.
Yeah. No, sure.
You know, like, the military gave up by the end of the first season.
Yep. I thought that was appropriate. I thought that was right.
Nah, I would have liked to seen it drag out a little bit longer. Like, I remember...
that being said, we should have gotten more, more immediate military versus Walker action.
Yeah.
We should have gotten more of that, but I thought the ending of the government, or at least the military, and how they generally were reacting to things, at least in that part of the country, I thought it was completely appropriate.
Maybe. I also would have liked to seen more, like, across the country. Mm-hmm. Like, you and I watched Fear when it first came out together, because that was back when we were still in the same area.
Yeah.
But I remember having hopes that, because you told me, because you'd done a little bit more research, that Fear was going to be before the apocalypse, or like during the descent.
Yeah.
I was hoping we would sort of get, like, multiple snapshots around the country, like it would have been interesting to see, here's LA, here's like the Midwest, here's East Coast, or like even like around the world, like different governments' responses to this.
I think that would be a great anthology series that they could do someday.
Yeah, tell me you wouldn't watch that.
I would love to see them do an anthology series where they do maybe one or two stories, or they do a story for one or two episodes, and then they move on to the next one. And so they do several throughout the season, or maybe they spend one episode telling quick stories, telling 3 or 4 quick one shots, and then they go. Oh, go ahead.
Or take, like, the American Horror Story aspect, where you take, like, one season to cover a cast throughout an arc, and the next season you cover a different cast and different arc.
Yeah, something like that. That is an anthology series. So something similar, something to that vibe. But hey, we're way off the rails here now for The Walking Dead, for the regular show. So, all right, everybody, let us know what you think of this season and of this episode. Did you like how things turned out? Did you think Negan should have died? Do you think Rick should have died? Are you like me and just about everyone else, where we wish Enid would have died? What do you think about Eugene? What do you think about all the guns blowing up like they did? Where things are going? Are you pissed that Daryl's the bad guy at the moment? You know what I mean. You kind of got that vibe. Let us know in the comments below how you feel. But I think that's going to be it for us right now. So, Jason, any last words?
Yeah, kill Negan 2018. Whoop.
All right. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen at the end of the year. We'll see. But that's going to be the end for us for The Walking Dead. So we're going to keep moving on with Fear the Walking Dead at this point, and you can find us there. And I think we're going to be doing something else we haven't quite decided once Fear is done, in between the gap between Fear and season 9 of the main show. So, but yeah, follow us with Fear. That's where we're going right now. So we'll see you soon.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, or anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but it'd be great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksawmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.